Welcome to our deep dive into the Brown Scapular. I know this is a devotion that's close to your heart, and we're going to explore it together using this pamphlet, the Brown Scapular, a sign of salvation and protection.
Oh, this is a great choice.
It's amazing how much is packed into this little sacramental to uncover its significance.
Absolutely. The Brown Scapular, it's more than just, a piece of cloth. It's a symbol of our connection to Mary.
So the pamphlet starts by taking us back to the prophet Elias on Mount Carmel. Seems like an unusual place to start talking about the scapular.
Okay.
What's the connection?
Well, the connection lies in the symbolism and, foreshadowing of Mary's role. It draws a parallel between Elias and Mary, talking about that cloud that Elias saw on Mount Carmel, shaped like a foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it connects to that prophecy in Genesis about the woman crushing the serpent's head, foreshadowing Mary's role in defeating evil.
So this seemingly insignificant detail about a foot-shaped cloud ties into this major theological concept about Mary's role.
Exactly. And it goes even deeper. The pamphlet highlights the mantle of Elias, which, according to the Bible, held prophetic power. This mantle becomes like a precursor to the Brown Scapular, linking the Old Testament to Marian devotion.
And this mantle is also linked to the origins of the Carmelite Order, right?
Precisely. The Carmelite Order, which is, intrinsically linked to the scapular, it traces its roots back to Elias and his followers on Mount Carmel. So you see the pamphlets establishing this foundation that connects the scapular to ancient prophecy and a rich lineage.
Okay, wow. So then comes the apparition of Mary to St. Simon Stock in 1251.
Yes, this is where the Brown Scapular, as we know it, comes into being. Mary appeared to St. Simon Stock and presented him with the scapular, promising that whosoever dies clothed in this scapular shall not suffer eternal fire.
That's powerful. It's no wonder the scapular has resonated so deeply with Catholics.
Yeah, it speaks to the heart of our faith, the desire for salvation and the belief in Mary's intercession.
The pamphlet also mentions some intriguing historical facts about the scapular, like how every pope since 1280 AD has worn one. It's more than just coincidence, right?
It definitely points to the profound significance of the scapular within the papacy. And the fact that they found an intact scapular in the tomb of Pope Gregory X when it was opened centuries later just adds another layer to this tradition.
It makes you wonder about the devotion that those popes must have felt towards Mary and the scapular.
Absolutely. It's a powerful testament to the enduring legacy of this sacramental.
Now, the pamphlet dives into some incredible stories of miracles attributed to the Brown Scapular.
Yeah.
There's so many, it's almost overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see any recurring themes in these stories?
What's fascinating is how these stories passed down through generations highlight the scapular's power, not just as a symbol, but as a potential source of actual protection and grace. Many of them revolve around protection from physical harm, like the story of the house saved from fire while neighboring homes burned down because a scapular was fastened to the door.
Right, that one always sends chills down my spine. It's such a vivid image of Mary's protection extending outwards. But there's also the story of the Protestant minister on the sinking ship, the King of the Ocean, that seems to emphasize a different kind of miracle.
Right, that story highlights the scapular's potential power for spiritual transformation. The minister witnessed the calming of the storm after the young Irish crew member threw his scapular into the sea. Such a powerful moment, and it led to his conversion. It speaks to Mary's role in drawing people closer to God.
It's not just about avoiding physical danger, but about finding faith and salvation through Mary.
Exactly. And that's a crucial aspect of the scapular's significance. It's a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, offering protection on both levels.
There are also some incredible stories about people surviving bullet wounds thanks to their scapulars. The one where the bullet flattened against the man's chest is particularly striking.
Those accounts definitely capture the imagination and reinforce the belief that the scapular can serve as a shield.
The pamphlet includes some modern-day examples.
Yeah.
It feels like these stories keep the tradition alive.
Absolutely. Like the boy who rolled out of a car unharmed because he was wearing the scapular.
Wow.
And the man who found a bullet instead of a rock in his pocket after someone shot at him. These modern-day accounts, even if they may not be verifiable, demonstrate that the belief in the scapular's power isn't just a thing of the past. Yeah. It continues to inspire and offer comfort to Catholics today.
Speaking of comfort, there's one promise associated with the scapular that brings immense solace, especially when thinking about the afterlife.
You're referring to the Sabbatine privilege, which is a powerful testament to Mary's love and mercy.
Yes, the belief that those who wear the scapular and fulfill certain conditions will be released from purgatory soon after death, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It offers such a profound sense of hope.
It's a reminder that even after we leave this earth, Mary's protection continues. It ties beautifully into the Catholic understanding of purgatory and the role of intercession in our journey towards heaven.
The story of the 7 communists sentenced to death really emphasizes that point.
The one where 6 wore the scapular and went to confession before their execution while the 7th refused?
Exactly. It really makes you think about the power of the scapular, even in the face of death.
It's a stark and thought-provoking story that certainly reinforces the deep spiritual significance that Catholics attach to the scapular.
So we've seen how the scapular is rooted in history and imbued with powerful symbolism. But what about the practical side of things? What does it actually mean to wear the scapular, and what are the requirements?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the heart of what it means to embrace this devotion fully. But I think we've covered a lot of ground already. Let's delve into the practical aspects and the significance of enrollment in the confraternity next time.
Sounds good. It's incredible how much we've already uncovered just from these first few pages of the pamphlet. There's clearly so much more to explore.
As we delve deeper into this pamphlet, it's striking how beautifully it blends history, doctrine, and personal testimony. It's not just presenting a set of rules, it's inviting us to experience the scapular through the eyes of faith.
Yeah, I completely agree. It feels like we're uncovering these layers of meaning. Earlier you mentioned we talk about the practical aspects of wearing the scapular. The pamphlet stresses the importance of fulfilling certain conditions to gain the full benefits.
Absolutely. It's not simply about wearing the scapular as a charm, it's about embracing a way of life that reflects our devotion to Mary.
So what are some of those conditions?
Well, the pamphlet emphasizes the importance of striving for purity of heart and leading a life that aligns with Catholic teachings. It also stresses the importance of prayer, particularly the rosary. These acts of piety aren't just external rituals. They're about cultivating an interior disposition of humility, love, and surrender.
Yeah, it makes you think about how the scapular is a constant reminder. It's like a physical manifestation of our spiritual aspirations.
Precisely. It's a tangible symbol that keeps us anchored.
Speaking of the physical scapular, the pamphlet is very specific about the need to wear the cloth version, not just the metal. Why is there such a distinction?
It's interesting. The pamphlet states that there are no recorded miracles associated with the metal. The emphasis seems to be on the tangible physical act of clothing ourselves in Mary's protection. It's a reminder that our devotion isn't just an abstract idea.
Right, it's something we embody.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the significance Catholics place on sacramentals in general. The physical world becoming a conduit for grace.
Exactly. And the scapular, by being physically worn, participates in that sacramental economy. It's a way of making our faith visible.
The pamphlet also talks about treating the scapular with reverence, even in how we dispose of it.
Whoa.
Burning or burying it feels so much more meaningful than just throwing it away.
That practice speaks to the sacredness that Catholics attach to sacramentals. It's recognizing that these objects aren't merely things, they're imbued with spiritual significance.
It's also about recognizing the scapular's connection to Mary. We wouldn't discard a cherished gift from our own mother carelessly. So why would we treat this symbol of her love any differently?
That's a beautiful way to put it. It speaks to the deep personal connection Catholics have with Mary. She's not just a distant figure, she's our mother.
The pamphlet has this powerful quote from Saint Claude de la Colombière. The brown scapular is the most favored of all. He also said, no devotion has been confirmed by more numerous authentic miracles than the brown scapular.
That statement from such a respected figure within the Church really emphasizes the high regard in which the scapular is held. It's not just a minor devotion, it's central.
You mentioned the importance of enrollment in the Catholic confraternity. The pamphlet dedicates a whole section to this process.
Right, and it emphasizes that this enrollment can only be done by a priest. It highlights the importance of the Church's role. It's not something we just decide to do on our own.
And once you're enrolled for life. The blessing lasts even if you haven't worn the scapular for years. It's like a spiritual bond that can't be broken.
It's a reminder that the connection to Mary, once established through the scapular, is seen as enduring. It's a source of comfort, knowing that her protection remains. Of course, ideally, we should strive to wear the scapular consistently.
The pamphlet makes a point of saying that even non-Catholics can wear the brown scapular and receive graces, although they can't be formally enrolled.
That's an intriguing point, isn't it? It suggests that the scapular's power isn't strictly limited to those within the Catholic Church. However, the full benefits are tied to our participation within the Church.
It also mentions that non-Catholics should handle the scapular with reverence and dispose of it properly.
That reinforces the idea that the scapular isn't just an ordinary object. The reverence we show towards the scapular reflects the reverence we have for Mary herself.
I also found it fascinating how the pamphlet talks about the scapular as a tool for prayer. Holding it in your hand while addressing Mary adds another dimension to this devotion.
Absolutely. It's not just about passive wearing. It's about actively engaging with Mary through prayer, and holding the scapular can foster a more personal connection.
The pamphlet even includes this quote, "A prayer uttered thus while holding the mystical scapular is as perfect as a prayer can be."
That speaks volumes about the belief that the scapular can amplify the power of our prayers, acting as a conduit to Mary's intercession. It's a reminder that she is always listening.
It makes you think about all the people throughout history who have held their scapulars while praying, seeking Mary's guidance.
Exactly. And that sense of connection, of being part of something bigger, is a powerful aspect of the scapular devotion.
You know, before we move on, I wanted to mention that detail about Pope John Paul II. The fact that he refused to let doctors remove his brown scapular when he was shot in 1981.
That truly speaks volumes about the depth of faith and trust that even a pope placed in the scapular. It's a powerful testament.
It reminds us that even those in positions of great authority find comfort in this humble sacramental.
It's a beautiful testament. And it leads us to ponder, how might the scapular, with its history and symbolism, serve as a source of strength and comfort in our own lives?
That's a great question to reflect on. I know for me, this deep dive has already deepened my appreciation for the scapular. It's incredible how this small sacramental, the brown scapular, can hold so much meaning in history. I'm also struck by how the pamphlet, while firmly rooted in tradition, hints at its appeal beyond just Catholics.
That's a good observation. It raises an interesting point about Marian devotion and the desire for protection and spiritual solace.
Even for those who may not fully understand the theology, there's something resonant about seeking Mary's intercession and embracing her as a mother.
Indeed. The concept of a loving mother who intercedes transcends specific doctrines. It speaks to a need for comfort.
Thinking back to my own enrollment in the scapular, I remember this feeling of belonging, a connection to something bigger.
That sense of belonging is at the core of religious experience. And the scapular, with its connection to the Carmelite Order, provides a tangible link to that history.
It's like wearing a piece of that history, a symbol of all the prayers and acts of faith.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we're part of a spiritual lineage.
And yet, alongside that communal belonging, there's this personal aspect. It's about my relationship with Mary and my trust in her promise.
That personal connection is what makes the scapular so powerful. It's not just about rules. It's about a genuine relationship with Mary.
I was intrigued by how the pamphlet describes the scapular as a tool for prayer. It suggests holding it while praying can enhance its power.
That speaks to the power of physical objects in our faith as conduits for prayer.
I've always found comfort knowing I'm wearing it, especially in times of difficulty.
That feeling of peace is a common experience among those who wear the scapular. It's a reminder that we're not alone.
So as we reach the end of our deep dive, what are the key takeaways? What makes the brown scapular so enduring?
At its heart, it's about faith devotion and Mary's intercession. It's a symbol of our connection to her and a reminder of her promise. It's about embracing tradition and making it our own.
It's about recognizing that even small acts of faith, like wearing the scapular, can have a profound impact, connecting us to something larger and offering comfort and hope.
This deep dive has been wonderful. As we conclude, I'd like to leave you with this. Imagine the countless stories, the prayers, the experiences woven into the brown scapular. How might reflecting on this history enhance your own personal connection to this sacramental?
That's a beautiful reflection. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the brown scapular. We hope it has been enriching for you. Until next time, may Mary's love and protection be with you always.